Welcome into 11 Personnel, presented by our friends at Monticello Bank, where today we're having a special edition of the show. It's officially a meeting of the Josh Kattus fan club. I'm Nick Roush, he's Adam Luckett, and we're joined today by our friend Josh Kattus, Kentucky tight end, coming off his first season in Lexington. Josh, first and foremost, how you feeling, man? Happy you're on the show. Are you still picking cardinal bird teeth out of your arm from the Governor's Cup?
Something like that. No, I'm excited to be on the show. I'm doing good, and yeah, I'm whatever that is. Yes.
Good. Well, we're glad you're happy, healthy. Didn't go through spring ball, but we're feeling good. Summer workouts are underway on campus, and so everything's going to be a full go for this season. Is that
yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to be 100% by August. We're ramping up workouts right now. I'm feeling really good, feeling explosive. So I'm really excited when it comes to August to get them pads on. I've been waiting a long time for that.
So, Josh, when you caught that pass and broke the first tackle, when did you know you were going to get caught? Did you know it all? Or when did you run out of gas? Walk us through that.
Man, I ran out of gas. That's one thing I'm working on right now. I'm working on getting bigger, faster, stronger, so that won't ever happen again. But we still got that nice stiff arm in at the end. So I wasn't the plan, but again, we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen this year.
Well, I jokingly said it, but it's kind of true. We are card-carrying members of the Josh Kattus fan club. And I wanted to ask Luckett if you could explain, do you remember the first time where you're like, okay, this guy's a dude right here? Do you remember that experience, Luckett?
Well, I mean, we got to go back. Like, when Josh committed, right, we kind of dig in the tape. And I remember telling you, I was like, wow, this dude, like, co-cocks people on the football field. Like, this is a guy we probably need to watch. And then I think it was the first open practice we went to. Josh, you were kind of letting some of the defenders have it there during practice. And we were all like, whoa, what is up with this kid? And then all the coaches kind of, yeah, that's kind of what he does. He kind of obliterates people blocking-wise. And so, like, for my question for you, really, yeah, we are Josh Kattus fan. If you had a fan club, we would be on the board of directors, no doubt. But like for you, like when did you realize, wow, I'm really good at this blocking thing? How young were you? And then like how much do you kind of like take pride in that point of your game?
Yeah, I definitely noticed that from an early age. It was something that my dad had always harped on me on was you don't stop until the whistle blows. So you keep blocking till the whistle blows. And that's just something I've carried on with me through high school, as you can see it early on in my tape there. But, that's something I do take pride on because that's just the physical toughness of the game and just trying to wear people out for 4 quarters. But that's just something I've always brought with me. And I think it's a valuable skill of my game. And it's fun. It's fun out there to do that. But, yeah, it's something I've always kind of had with me, and my dad's always harped on me about. Even now.
It's also one of those things, too, that, like, not many people say blocking is fun. There's a bunch of guys who, they're trying to lose weight so they can catch passes, that sort of thing. But like you said, you learned early from your dad. He was a ball player back in the day, played at Michigan with Coach Harbaugh, and also for the Cincinnati Bengals. So what was that like kind of growing up in a football family, especially the oldest, where it's a whole crew in the Kattus household playing football?
And it was awesome. I got to learn a lot from him because he's been through all the things I'm going through right now. He's been through. So it was really nice to have someone to lean on like that, and especially being in the pro level and getting to play against some of the best players in the world. So he's been someone I've leaned on. I still lean on to this day, and I'm very thankful for him. And then also just I got my 2 little brothers now, which I'm trying to implement that on them as well. So they can lean on me just like I leaned on my dad. So yeah, it's awesome growing up in a football family. Even my mom's all into it too. So
well,
it's exciting.
You were the first to really go in this newer process. I think Nil had just kicked off the summer before you got here, and that's part of the reason why you're here today is because you've got some nil events coming up this week out at Evans Orchard tomorrow from 5:30 to 8, and also this weekend at Country Boy Brewing in Georgetown from 3 to 6, an adopt-a-thon for dogs and cats. We'll get to more of that later, but the nil aspect of things, are you having to kind of tell them, like, all right, watch out for this? Is there how is that kind of involved in college football that you deal with on a regular basis?
Yeah, I think kind of at first, it was kind of foggy, you know, as no one really knew how it worked and kind of what the deal on was that. But I think as time's starting to go on, NIL is starting to become a lot more clear. And you know, the big thing is you don't have to be a big company to come in and join on the collective and helping out some of these student athletes. But for me personally, I just enjoy getting out in the community and doing different events like the dog adoption event we got going on tomorrow and Saturday, just helping out the city of Lexington. But like I said, it's starting to become more clear, and I think we'll see a lot more guys start to utilize their name, image, and likeness on this team and throughout the country.
If there's anybody out there who's like, you know what, I want Kattus to come out here. He doesn't have to, you know, stiff arm any Cardinal birds, but how do they get in touch with you if they want to see if you want to come out to one of their events?
It's something so they could reach out to me personally through all my social media. I'm sure y'all could plug those if that's okay.
We'll happily plug
and then
that.
also Eddie Gran, who works with that here in the UK offices. He's someone that y'all can get in touch with who has been helping us out with the NIL stuff as well.
So Josh, like, company ABC comes to you, asks you to do something. What's your kind of process with that on when your decision making? Are you talking to your parents? Are you talking to Eddie? Like, what kind of process do you go through about deciding what you want to get into with any type of NIL work?
Yes, sir. It's something I think very carefully about. It's something I talk to my parents and Eddie about, making sure this is how I want to represent my name, image, and likeness, and what we're all going to do to help benefit the community and stuff. And it's something that you kind of have to think deeply about because it surrounds your name, you know, and that's kind of the process I've been going through, is just talking back with my family and talking with Eddie and some of the people around me kind of giving me advice. So, but yeah, it's kind of what I've been.
Well, I think attaching your name to puppies is a good start. If you were a dog, what kind of dog would you be, Josh?
Ooh, that's a good question. I want to say English Mastiff.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
Yeah. That's like the Sandlot dog, right?
Yes, sir. I say that because I got two big English Mastiffs at home, and I love them. I love them. They're good dogs, but they're intimidating. They're intimidating dogs, and they're big, but they like to play, and they're rough too. So I mean, those are definitely my favorite dog. I think that would be, if I was a dog, that'd be what I'd be, English Mastiff.
I just envision in the Cincinnati suburbs 3 Kattus boys and 2 English Mastiffs just going at it in the backyard.
The ball's on the ground, loose ball, man. That's a dangerous place to be. Speaking of looks, you used to have the flow, and I'm one of those too. I envy anybody that can grow the flow, that can have the hair flowing out of the back of the helmet. Why'd we ditch the flow?
I had to. It wasn't a look, so I actually am rocking with the fade right now. I got cut up last week, so I don't know. It's just something I had to change. My parents didn't really like the flow too much. They weren't a fan of it, and so they strongly advised me against it. But you know, if you can rock the flow, rock the flow. But personally, right now I'm rocking with a nice fade on the side.
High and tight.
Fade. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yep. Keeping it classy.
Mom knows best.
Mom does know best. When mom says she isn't a fan of the mullet, then I'm gonna have to stop with that.
Josh, I want to ask another football question before we get you out the door, because that tight end room can be a little intimidating. A lot of old dudes. Vince has been coaching that position for a long time. CJ obviously was there that first year. But you didn't really hesitate. What was your kind of mindset going into last season to be able to play in spite of having seemingly 4 or 5 guys ahead of you when you walked onto campus?
It's at the end of the day, it's just competition. Competition is going to drive the best out of each and every one of us. And I really just wanted to come in and compete. And I knew I had an opportunity to play. That Coach Merrill told me that early in the recruiting process, that I had a chance to come here and play. And so I just took each and every day to get better. And every rep, I got the chance to go in a game or in practice. I tried to take advantage of that and do the best that I could. And that's really what it was. I personally like to compete. It's going to be the same thing this year. We got a lot of competition in the room, but at the end of the day, that's going to make us the best players. So I really believe that's kind of what it was, just having some talented guys in the room that you not only got to learn from, but you got to compete with every day.
We had Josh. Want to ask another Josh on the YouTube chat if what was special about Kentucky that really set it apart from all the other schools you considered?
I'd definitely say the family. The coaching staff is something that they treat you like family. We're all really close, and they spend a lot of time with you and developing relationships with you, especially, with me on the offensive side of the ball. And obviously, also something with me that kind of stood out was I'm an hour and a half away, and I can play in the SEC. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the SEC right now with the additions of Texas and Oklahoma, and I'm excited to be a part of that as well. But the University of Kentucky is just special. The football program we have here is special, and I think we're going to see that in 2023.
Josh, you mentioned that 2024 Texas, or like you all have to play this season, right? But the next season after that, no divisions. You're going to get to go to all these stadiums and play in them. Are guys talking about that in the locker room? Is there some excitement about that moving forward? Like, man, we get to go play at Texas. Like, Oklahoma's going to come to our house. We get to play Alabama more. Are you all talking about that kind of the future of the SEC? Because you are going to live that. I mean, it's not that far away.
Yes, sir. It's something mentioned here and there, but honestly, most of our guys, we're really focused on that Ball State game. We're really focused on 2023 because, we kind of saw what happened last year, didn't go our way too much last year. And so we're really trying not to look that far ahead. We're really locked in and dialed in on this year. But, obviously that's something some of the guys have been, that's pretty cool. That's exciting. But really we're just dialed into Ball State in the 2023 season.
Another Cardinal you can punch in the face. We're going to get you out of here. You can find Josh. That's Wednesday. And it's not just Josh, too. There's 4 or 5 Kentucky football players that are going to be out in Georgetown Wednesday at Evans Orchard, 5:30 to 8. And also Saturday, 3 to 6 p.m. at Country Boy Brewing. Come meet the cats. Maybe get a new cat or a dog. The time is now to adopt some animals with Scott County Humane Society.
Yes, sir.
But
sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you got it. Go.
Tomorrow in Georgetown, we're going to have Derek Jackson, Trevin Wallace, Isaiah Cummins, and Marcus Cox. And there's about 11 pit bull puppies that'll be available tomorrow.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
So if you like your pit bulls, you got to come out. Yep. And then I think on Saturday we'll have a whole variety of cats and dogs and stuff. And there we'll be joined with Justice Dingle, Jordan Dingle, Marcus Cox, and Dane Key.
Awesome. We'll come out and see them.
That's Wednesday for those listening at home. Wednesday, June 21st, if you want to get the pit bull puppies. But Josh, thanks for. When you clobber some people, we will publicize it. Just know that we have that.
Yeah.
It will go online.
Yeah.
What about those T-shirts? The ass kicker T-shirts or those?
We're working on it. Just
we'll make.
We've
those
got
happen.
something in the mix.
That can be in your nil package. The ass kicker. Hey, you're a Cincinnati guy? Are you drunk on the Reds Kool-Aid right now too? Because I'm even drinking it. I never thought I was a baseball guy, and here I am. I was watching baseball last night on Pins and Needles. It's
They're
weird.
playing well right now. I actually got to go to that game where Coach Merrill and Devin got to throw and catch the first pitch.
Yeah.
So we got to go see that game. But I'm excited. I love when the Reds do well, as a Cincinnatian. So
Who had a more impressive performance, Devin throwing it or Vince catching it?
Ooh, that's a hard question. Coach Merrill, he surprised me, man. He went out there, he caught that, he looked smooth out there. They both did their thing. I don't know if Devin had any heat on there or not, if he could have put a little bit more heat on there, but it was really funny. It was a good time. So they both did a good job.
Well, Josh, we appreciate you coming on. Hopefully fans will come see you out there this week at Evans Orchard and Country Boy Brewing. Get some dogs, get some cats, and we'll get those ass kicker shirts. We'll get those printed ASAP.
You just remember, Josh, when you make it big and they're calling you the ass kicker the next level. Who came up with that name? Just don't forget that.
I won't. Well, it was an absolute honor to be on this show, and I'm very, very thankful for y'all's support and having me on here.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Josh.
Josh Kattus,
Yes, sir.
Kentucky tight end, number 84 in your program, number 1 in our hearts. That was a lot of fun, Luckett. Because here's the thing, Luckett, when we do this, sometimes we get borderline weird with it because, he's just an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, I didn't even, you don't know, we call him the ass kicker, but I didn't want to say, because then he would look at, why's this grown man calling me an ass kicker? But it's good to know that Josh is maybe listening or someone's telling him about it.
Yeah. We're reaching the masses, but it was fun having him on. Also, my wife is, gosh, if I drug her out there to Georgetown on Wednesday, there's no way we'd come home without a puppy. So
yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
It's a dangerous game you play.
When I moved in with my wife, Nick, I don't know if we were together for 2 weeks in the same house and we were getting a dog. And it was just we're going to see this dog, and next thing I know, I'm at PetSmart. We're spending $500 on dog supplies. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was like, what has just happened? And then, then our second dog, Moose, just kind of boom, happened. He was there one day. He was visited one day. He was living with me the next day. But, yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, we can't go to things like that, or we will bring a dog home.
Well, hopefully y'all can make it out there, bring the kids, pet some dogs. And I believe, too, that they have a sort of deal. I lost the details in front of my face, but I believe they have a deal where it's a little bit cheaper than normal. So go check them out. Appreciate having Josh on the show. And I did bring up the Reds, Luckett, because we're going to get into some more nitty-gritty stuff. But, dude, I cannot believe that I'm excited to watch baseball right now. I'm the biggest hater. It's like a passion of mine is hating on baseball. But watching Ellie De La Cruz hit a baseball to the first baseman and then get to first base before him, it's like watching Josh Kattus block. It's a thing of beauty. Yeah,
they're a fun team to watch right now because the starting pitching isn't great. So they're giving up a lot of runs, but they're scoring. And they're not just playing long ball. They're getting station to station. They're stealing bases, doing hit and runs, all that type of stuff.
Kind of like
and
Kentucky a little bit was this year.
And
there's no Ellie De La Cruz on the team, but,
They're a young team. They've got a lot of new parts, and they're all kind of figuring it out. And they've got guys that are kind of getting better with each week. So it's been fun. And then you bring one of the franchise best players of all time back, and he comes and hits a home run in his first game and kind of gets the crowd pumped up. And they got this long winning streak rolling, and now they're in first place. And that was not on my baseball bingo card coming into the year. Reds in first place at the end of June. So they have they have a legit chance to make the playoffs this year, which I don't think anybody saw coming. And so that is it's very exciting. And they got another young guy that's going to come up here probably in the next month, Encarnacion Strand. And so they just got a lot of fun pieces right now. It's a good time to be a Reds fan. And if only we could get the games on TV. That's the only. I heard you asking about it, but I was like, we don't watch the games on TV. We watch through Twitter because it's pretty much impossible to get a Reds game here in the Bluegrass State.
It's also bad timing. I have the mosquito guy coming to my house right now, so apologize for the background noise for a little bit. But I did at least figure out my father-in-law's login will work to stream online. So can at least do that. We can go to KS Bar and we can watch. Great Reds Bar. So if you're drinking the Kool-Aid as well, go check them out there. I'd never even placed a bet on a baseball game before, and I was just like, "Ooh, so what's this?" And money line hitting down in Houston.
Yeah,
it's
you
crazy.
can do. There's a bit. You can do. Run line is a very popular one, which kind of gives you, I think, like an actual spread, or you could play money line over unders. Yeah, there's a lot of gambling you can do baseball wise. So yeah, imagine that sport that you can gamble on. Who would have thunk of that? Who would have thought this worked?
Oh man, the College World Series has been pretty fun too. So it's one of those things. I was a big hater of summer and sports, but we've gotten a lot of entertainment out of it between that and then an eventful month of June recruiting, which 2 weeks they basically spent Luckett. It was from Wednesday. The second Wednesday of the month to the third Sunday, they were just hosting recruits nonstop. Maybe there would be like a day or two in there where they didn't have official visits, but then they would have official visitors in. That wrapped up on Sunday. I don't think we're going to have any more, and we got a commitment out of it. Jaden LaFontaine.
Well, two, really. 5-star kickers.
It's a kicker. I mean, well, we'll get into that. But let's start with LaFontaine Luckett. What do you like about that guy?
Is that how you were pronouncing it? Or is that just your guess?
I just have to say it with a French accent, and I'm trying to be quick because the dude is literally right outside my window right now. So I'm trying.
All right, I'll go on a little spiel here. Long story short, like, this guy's not ranked on 3 yet. Rivals in 247 have him ranked. He's gonna end up being like low 3-star, maybe like in the mid 800 to 900 range. But I don't think people should overreact to recruiting rankings, specifically on guards, because this is a position there's a depth of players, good volume players you can find, and there's a lot of things to like about LaFontaine. First of all, like, this is a big dude. I mean, legit 6'3" to 6'4" with long arms. I believe he's got 300 plus pounds already. He's going to be able to grow even more into that frame. And like, when you do the combine exercises, like the Math Bomb charts, in the size chart, he's going to really check out well with height, weight, wingspan. So there's some things to like about him from that aspect. He has the body right now, and it's only going to get, I think, improved in a strength and conditioning program. And you watch him on tape, he does some really good things. Finishes blocks, can move people, has power at the line of scrimmage, shows play strength, and can also climb up to the second level, has some good foot agility, and finishes blocks, and cuts off linebackers on the backside, and is able to get a bunch of knockdowns at the next level. And he's showed some ability as a puller, and even in pass pro, he's shown, one, he's got great frame and length, so it's hard to get around him. But he seems like a guy to me that's been really well coached to this point, plays with a good base in pass pro.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like about him, I think. And you team up him and Abba Selm. Abba, I'm still not 100% sure how to pronounce it.
You say Abba, I say Abba.
I just think that's a really good guard combo. LaFontaine, right guard, put Selm at left guard, and you've got potentially two multi-year starters, I would project, potentially. And I think both these guys, Nick, have high floors. Mm-hmm. Like, I really feel confident that both these guys are going to be able to play here. And then you kind of project guard moving forward. Ben Chrisman is the only, like, for sure thing, I think, after Horsey and Cox. The Ohio State transfer. After that, it's wide open about who's going to get plugged in there. And you got to think Jagger Burton's probably center full-time moving forward.
Correct.
I think Kobe Keenum is kind of a center-only player at this point. After that, guard is wide open. I think these guys could potentially, as a redshirt freshman in 2025, both these guys I think are going to be able to compete for a starting spot. And so I think there's a lot to like about this guy. He had legit, like, it's one thing to have Power 5 offers. It's another, Nick, to have official visits. I mean, he had 5 official visits scheduled in June. You know, now some people will say, well, that's not the schools you want to go against, but it's still power conference.
Well,
schools wanted him.
Here's the other thing too, Luckett, that I find interesting is that he had, as you said, he had 5 Power 5 official visits. that means more to me than a guy who has offers from Florida, Georgia, Alabama, but like visited.
Well,
once,
you have to kind of read between the lines because some of these kids in Georgia, Florida, these big areas, they'll just offer
teams.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Going to be they've got 4 kids that are going to go D1. We'll just offer all of them, and then we're really only recruiting one from that school. That's the kind of move that they make.
Or it's like offer to get him on campus to camp, kind of offer.
And then see if he's good enough from there. Whereas the thing with LaFontaine that I like, he's a wrestler, and so there's a lot of very translatable skills to that. Marcus Cox talked about it in the spring.
You can tell on tape that he has some grappling background. The way he's able to move and his hand placement and how he flips his hips as a blocker. I could see that.
It's all about leverage. He's went to state titles. I mean, I don't think Connecticut's a powerhouse for wrestling like we're in Big Ten country per se, but he's reaching state championships in heavyweight division in wrestling. So you got some good feet where you got some good athleticism there. Another thing, too, I know the coaches were really impressed, too, that he wasn't – like he was very solid. He wasn't – he came in, he looked good.
Well, that's why I say on tape he just looks like a legit power conference line. Like he looks like a guy who plays good football on Saturdays. It's not bad weight. It's good weight.
And the tape wasn't just I'm going to maul you. I'm heads up blocking, just pushing somebody down. I mean, the first block is he's pulling down the line. The second one, he's reaching somebody. The third one, he's smashing somebody down into the ground. And then you got a combo block where he's getting to that next level. Like, there's a good the part that you mentioned too, where he's been coached well. Like, I see that he's at a prep school. I guess that's just how it works in the Northeast. Like, if you're good, you go to one of these prep schools and play big time ball. Kentucky also offered his teammate, who reclassed down to 2025, to play offensive tackle, and Maddie Augustine. So that'll be one to watch for 2025. But I know guards aren't exactly a sexy get by any means, but that's the kind of you got to stack up wins with high floor guys like this, and it also, I think too, Luckett, his addition is the reason why you didn't see Fred Johnson, I think, become an addition, because he's listed as an offensive tackle, but I don't think Kentucky was sold on him necessarily being an offensive tackle. He probably fit in more as a guard. You know, he's right in that in-between stage. Was it you who said he had some big Kenneth Horsey energy? Or was that...
Yeah. Like, when I watched him, I saw, like, some guard... I think he was a guard first with tackle flex. But the thing with him is I think he was probably 6'3", 6'4". And so he just didn't have probably the size and the length, Johnson. So without having verified numbers, that's what it looked like to me. He just the size was probably the big issue. But he plays left tackle for Glenville.
Yeah. And Kentucky wasn't, I don't want to say willing to reach, but if they wanted him, I mean, they could have made a move on him. And instead, they let him continue his recruitment. And when Louisville gave him the chance to pounce, he jumped right on it and committed during that official visit to U of L.
And that's a guy, like, I think if Kentucky decided in December they wanted him, I think they could potentially
make a flip. Yeah, but that's also we'll see down the road how other things shake out, because we'll talk about the kicker in a second, Luckett. But I did want to mention the biggest sort of concern right now among a lot of fans. First and foremost, it was just you had all of these kids that were, we're putting in RPM picks, there's crystal balls, things look good, but there wasn't commitments. You get LaFontaine to kind of, all right, well, there's one. But the other one was just at tackle, because a lot of the guys, you figure your 1A and 1B, sort of your big fish are Shaq McCroy and Jonathan Daniels, who officially visited Georgia last weekend. And those are your big fish, but the guys underneath them, they're all kind of going everywhere else. So, Luckett, if you could kind of, I don't want to say spin zone it, but like, but I can see the spin zone. So I'm wondering your read on the situation first, and then seeing how it kind of lines up with what I'm thinking when it comes to Kentucky's offensive tackle recruitment.
I mean, I think you should be concerned about it. I think they've got a chance here. Like, I think maybe if this is a par 4, they hit a decent drive but it maybe wasn't they're probably behind their playing partner. So they're going to have to hit a really good second shot, third shot. And they might have a long punt they need to drain. Like, I think they're behind. Like, I think you should be a little concerned. And their recent results tell you should be a little concerned about tackle recruiting. I mean, they've had some misses. And McRoy's been a big target for a long time, Nick. You just have to worry where that's at right now. And then Jonathan Daniels was a nice surprise, but it's just going to be tough to get that kid, man. I mean, you're up against some big-time schools, and the local school there, Florida State, really wants him. Mm-hmm. And what are the backup options there? I just, I don't know. Like, that's the concerning part. You're looking at, like, Mercer, Luneski, and, Jack Hines was a guy I liked, another guy from the Northeast, but he just committed to Wake Forest and canceled Kentucky's OV. So, other targets are going to emerge, but tackle is not guard. Like, there's only a few good prospects every year, and then you're fishing after that. And so for Kentucky, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's probably the part of me that I think would just be the biggest concern is you feel good. Your three number one overall draft pick positions, quarterback, edge, offensive tackle. Mm-hmm. If you get Brian Robinson, you've got two of the three covered up in high school. They're just harder to get in the portal. So that's, I think, where just I don't want to say concern is. But at least, like, part of me is thinking that this is just June. If you really like some of these guys behind McRoy and Daniels, because those are going to signing day no matter what. Like, even if you got one to commit, that might even be bad news. That might even be just him getting leverage elsewhere. So yeah. Those are going to signing day no matter what. But the thing that I'm holding out hope on is that if you really, really like some of the guys behind him, you should be able to flip a dude from Georgia Tech or that commits to Wake Forest or that commits to Louisville. Like, no offense to them, but if you really like, and I think part of it is Kentucky just didn't have a sense of urgency with those guys down the board early enough. And maybe they're waiting for some guys to emerge, but that is the sort of, I just think for me, the part that is hard for me to spin away is like some positions you can have some guys pop up out of nowhere. Jamarion Wilcox was kind of that way last year at running back, receiver. Some of those guys can just they have huge years and they come out of nowhere. Don't feel like that's always the case with offensive tackle. So yeah, you kind of know who you got to work with at this point.
I think some of the angst has a lot to do with just slow start.
Slow start in basketball. I think we had a board meltdown the other day just because basketball had Aaron Bradshaw bad news. I think just recruiting wise, it's just they're starting slow, and there's no, I think, denying it. I've been on record thinking they need to start faster. I don't think that's like not non-negotiable. They should not have just 5 or 6 commits right now. But I mean, whatever. As long as they close, it doesn't. I mean, because it's at the end of the it's at the end of the day. Like, it's like how many houses, if you're a realtor, how many houses you sell in a year. If you only sell 5 and you're behind, but you end up closing, it doesn't matter, right? Like, your boss is like, it doesn't matter. But you're not on pace, I guess is the argument. Like, you're behind pace. Mm-hmm. And so there's no doubt about that. And it just makes every time they miss on a target because of that, it just feels like you're getting farther in the hole. But overall, you gotta let the cake bake. You gotta let the string play out and see how they finish. I kind of like what they're doing at receiver. Mm-hmm. They just don't hit on these 3-star receivers, Nick. They just don't hit on them. This whole Mark Stoops tenure, there's been a couple that have been good here. You're looking at like Josh Ali and Garrett Johnson, and that's like the list. Yeah. And so they need to find bigger fish. So like Harley Gilmore was a name that popped up this weekend. It's kind of an interesting case because he's a late reclass. I like that because you're taking a swing on a guy. You can get a 3-star receiver at the end if you need one. Right. Don't take a big, no need to take up a spot early. So I kind of like what they're doing there. But tackles to me the big concerning area because it's just a hard position to find. It's hard to recruit.
And it's, if you keep missing, you're just going to have to keep portal, and that's where I think you could get into some trouble potentially. But that's just kind of where they're at right now. They really need to land one of this McRoy or Daniels. If they don't, then you're taking some flyers on some guys at that point, in my opinion, and we'll see if it works. But no matter what happens, though, I do want to say, sorry to cut you off there, but they got Cutter Boley in this class.
Yeah,
like they've got a quarterback, so like this is going to be a good class regardless because of that fact.
Right. Full
stop. Bottom line. And then they might get Stone Saunders committed this summer, so they could have back to back, and they've never done that.
Yeah.
The whole Stoops tenure, they've never done that, and they're on the verge of doing that. And so that is the most important position. Full stop.
I appreciated one person who's like, what happened when we were getting Deion Walker and Barryon Brown and Dane Key? And he was listening to a lot of those guys from, one, the highest rated recruiting class ever, two, a bunch of guys that committed in the fall during Liam Cohen's first season. Like, I think you're going to get a bump if you have some early success this fall. That's kind of what they're relying on. That's the way the schedule's shaping up. So I can't blame them for some of it. So there is a level of trust that I have because they were able to do it last year despite lackluster results, despite a 7-5 season, and also despite being late to the punch with the collective game. I mean, when they launched the 15 in October, right? Like that class, last year's class wasn't really a part of the collective's budget, for the lack of a better term. That was the portal, and look how they performed in the portal. So,
yeah,
I'm not sounding an alarm just yet, especially because I think we're going to be getting some, I'm expecting more commitments, not just Jaden Fontant over the next 2 weeks, but I also will say that there's what's the word I'm looking for? Here's the thing. The recruiting matters, the people matter, and that's also the motto at Monticello Bank.
That's right.
They're going to take good care of you. They took great care of us last week when we were out there at their location in Lynn. About Monticello Bank. They got 21 branches, 14 different markets, and they're 128 years old. That means they're doing something right. They'll take good care of you at Monticello Bank. Visit them online at nbcbank.com. Or download the GoNBC mobile app. Bank anywhere with Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, proud sponsors of 11 personnel. And Luckett, they'll go far for you. In Kentucky, they went pretty far to get a kicker. Montana, all the way to Mon-freaking-Tana to get a kicker in
John Duttonland.
What do we say? How do we say his name? Jacob Crow? Let's call him Crow.
Does he have an R in there?
Okay.
Jacob K.
Okay. So
K for kicker.
Here's me being completely honest and candid because I have some similar takes about when there's new basketball freshmen where it's like I can't spin this anymore. The kicker situation, I just don't know what the hell's going on. I feel as plugged in as I've ever been on this job in 10 years of doing it, and I just know everything that's going on over that facility, except what the hell's happening with these specialists. I'm clueless. It's Jay Bower's first year. It's abundantly clear that he's not doing anything the way the old people used to do it. Brought in Mike Pryfer to really get into the minutia of things as their quality control guy. So they're bringing in new guys. They got a punter late in the process to walk on from Alabama. But I don't know what's going to happen with the other guys because sometimes they just come in and kind of clean house, but I don't know who's on scholarship, who's walking on. I don't know they're going to roll out to start this all. I'm glad they got a guy. I don't know if he's going to be any good. And I also don't believe anything Cole's Kicking ever says for a second. Like I'm done on Cole's Kicking. Their rankings mean nothing to me. You can't just rate everybody a 5-star Cole's Kicking, like just because a kid can kick it very far. So I'm out. So one thing I know, I'm out on Cole's Kicking ratings. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm not calling a kicker 5-star. Like if you think he's 5-star from the service, tip your cap. I'm not even going to try to get into handicapping kicker rankings. So we'll see. But I think to me, it just tells you what they think about that room.
Yeah.
The current roster.
That they're willing to go there for that.
I don't think there's a kicker that was inherited that's probably I think Chance Poore is going to be the kickoff specialist.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I don't, Wilson Berry, I think, is on the clock. I mean, he's going to be in a competition with a couple walk-ons.
I heard Jackson Smith was probably punting instead of kicking, the Danville kid. So
yeah, I have people have asked me about Jackson Smith. If people didn't bring his name, I wouldn't even know he's on the team. Like he's a guy like you just totally forget about. So I don't know what's going on with him. I think the Alex Rayner they brought in from Georgia Southern is going to be their
place kicker this year.
Place kicker and extra points guy. I would be surprised if he's not. And then this guy, the Montana Call or Jacob Kicker. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I think it's Jacob. It's Kuwe.
Let's just
right?
call him Dutton. Jacob Dutton. All right. He's
Dutton.
Montana. He's going to join the Dutton family ranch.
I mean, big leg. He's probably going to be the kickoff specialist next year.
See, and what's funny too, Luckett, is any sort of big leg guy. I mean, I saw Chance Poore kick 60-yarders in high school. I saw Jackson Smith. I don't know what that means in college. Like,
it's just. I mean, it's like
rolling the dice, man.
It's up. It's like I think Mark Stoops has compared it to a golfer. Like, what am I going to say? Make the kick, like, Hey, you see those two posts?
Those big
split
sticks
them.
There, kick in between them.
Split them. I joked that Jerry Jones talked to the kick. Mayhair had those problems.
Oh, that was great. Yeah,
it was.
Mar.
Yeah. You see, and he was out on the field. Yeah, Jerry's out there. You see those pipes? Split them. Like, what do you say? What do you say to them? You can't really. It's hard to coach them.
I was fascinated watching Pryfer work with kickers at camps because he was very meticulous,
and that's what he's for.
Yeah, and I'm curious what exactly specifically he would look at with like mechanics and all that stuff. But it was I did get the chance to test my chop. I hadn't kicked in a long time, and this is a non-paid ad for the Indianapolis Children's Museum. When Baker gets a little bit bigger, Luckett, that place. The inside is fine. It's like most children's museum, but the outside, they have this sports area where it's just like you name a sport, they have something for your kid to play. Whether it's street hockey, like you're the mighty D2 Mighty Ducks, tennis, they got even little carts for you to race around like you're an IndyCar guy. They got it all. The putt-putt was great because they had like a bunch of holes from Pete Dye courses, so you're putting on like the Island Green, right, or like 18 at Whistling Straits.
I might just Taylor and Becker just leave me alone for 2 hours.
Yeah. I'm gonna go over here and work the turf greens. But what was also fun, they had a football area. You can go through the drills and the pads and a lot of stuff for older kids. But they had goalposts. They had one for kids. Then they had a regulation size. And I used to, when we were in middle school, we would go over to Holy Cross would leave their football field unlocked. We'd go over there on the field. We'd kick field goals, throw football, just have ourselves a time. And I could bang 40-yarders when nobody's rushing me and I got time. Like, kicking a football, not that hard. If you have any sort of athleticism, you just, as Stoop said, you just kick it. And so I hadn't done it in a long time, and I've been working out a little bit more this summer. I was like, okay, let me see what I got. And, man, I hooked it like I was 50 feet from the green, and I was just coming across on my wedge. So ended up only 1 for 3. But that one, it felt good. I was like, you know what? This ain't too bad. Like, I can get back to in the swing of things, if you will. But good times. Need to make that more of a – because kicking targets, a lot of fun. So just kickers. Go out there and just hit your targets.
But I think, a lot of people's criticism – I don't know what to expect. Like, Kentucky's kicking game could be anything next year. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, who's going to start. I think who I know is going to start, or what it's going to look like in the future. But they're searching for answers, and they're kind of spending resources to fix the problem. Whether it's room on the roster, scholarship capital. Mike Pryford Jr., I think, Nick.
Yep.
He's who you're talking about. Is pretty much. He's coming in to coach the kickers, right? Like Bullware's a special teams coordinator on the staff, but Pryford's QC, who's doing more kind of the technical side of the kicking game and helping, I think, Bullware build special team plans, whether it's kick coverage. all that good stuff. And so they're devoting resources, assets to fix the problem, and they're going to have options. So like, if they're going to have a kicker, and if he don't make the kick, doesn't make it, or misses a kick or two, they're going to replace him. I think is what you're seeing here potentially.
Yeah.
If the punter shanks a couple, they're going to replace. Where last year they just didn't have any. Like Ruffalo struggled, the long snapper struggled. Goodfellow had some bad moments. His long snapper struggled, and they just didn't have any replacements. Like they were just kind of stuck with them when they would hit a bad stretch. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I think the other part that you should expect too, Luckett, is that if nothing else, the floor should be higher with the operation. Like it should be cleaner, and if a guy misses a kick, it's an execution deal, and not necessarily just because Duke's got one over his head.
It's hard to imagine it getting worse than it was last year. I mean, last year was bad.
I mean, Barry Brown's returning was really your only thing you could take solace in the special teams game.
Which, and then Ruffalo had a good game against Louisville, but other than that, and it won one bad snap, probably won them the Missouri game, but like it was bad last year. There's really no getting around it. Like the Ole Miss game was like if you go back and watch the game, it was awful. Like, they couldn't make an extra point. It looked like he probably made a field goal, and they said no good. It looked like it went through the left.
And then you trip your returner as he's going to
score.
Then
you trip. Like Barry Brown's gonna have a walking touchdown. You trip him. It's hard to imagine it being any like that. It was pretty bad in that game.
Whew.
And the Tennessee game was awful too. Like you had like a 15-yard punt, I think. You missed the extra point early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was just bad. There was some really bad moments.
Really bad.
Georgia, you get one against blocked against Georgia. I mean, there's a ton of. It was bad. It just that can't happen anymore.
Look, moving forward, we are since visits are quieting down. This is, I guess, we'll have sort of a period where you're expecting and hoping for a couple of commits. A few guys I'm gonna have my eyes on: Willie Rodriguez, tight end from Covenant Catholic, Tavani Mizell, who the more I dig into him, the more fascinating he is because
he's an interesting prospect.
Yeah, because he was really highly thought of early on in the process in South Florida. Hell, he even committed to Georgia, transfers to DeMatha, and I don't know if it was the SoFlo spotlight wasn't on him as much. I don't know what the deal was, but his stonks, and at least in the recruiting rankings, slipped. He's one I'm keeping an eye on. He just wrapped up an official visit. One that's fascinating to me is Kendall Jackson because
he's a player.
And the thing is Anwar Stewart has gotten a lot of criticism for his lack of recruiting chops. But he's been in on some big guys, and I just don't know how to handicap it because we haven't seen him do much big boy recruiting. And Kendall Jackson is one of these dudes too where you felt like Kentucky always had a chance, but he's from Gainesville and his dad hosts a Florida podcast. I mean, what are the chances that when Duke becomes a recruit that I'm going to legitimately think about him going to Tennessee? You know, like it's just not. It's hard to see that play out, but you get his mom talking real nice online, and then, from everything I've heard, folks at UK seem to think that, they've been on this guy a long time. And Florida's taken some D-line commits. They think they might have a shot here. So I'm fascinated about how it all plays out. And the other side of this, too, in the nil era, how much of it are they just trying to squeeze money out of Florida? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I'd love to win one over Florida because they are very chessy right now. And I'm sick and tired of hearing people talk about how great Sunbelt Billy's recruiting is. It pisses me off. I don't like it.
A few things.
They're hot right now. They're hot right now.
A few things off of that. Tavani Mizell, he's changed high schools a bunch. So he's back in Fort Lauderdale now.
Man. Yeah.
So that is weird. Why did he go to DeMatha? Why did he leave after a year? Those are all questions and concerns maybe I have. But you've heard on the tape there's a lot to like. He's like a real receiver out of the backfield.
Yeah, yeah.
They're lining him up in the slot, and he's running legit routes, and he's making catches down the field. And then as a runner, he's got some breakaway speed, and he's breaking tackles, and he's probably going to be 190 to 200 pounds, so he's not a small back. So I think there's some stuff to like about him. North Carolina has a pretty good track record at running back. They're all in on him.
Javonte Williams, most recently. He's pretty good.
And so, that's That's promising. I like that. So if you could get him in the fold, I think you need two backs. I think you're looking at him and Jason Patterson. And they're a nice little combo because when you kind of dig into Jason Patterson, he's more of the bigger back you've seen, Nick. It's going to be able to run in between the tackles, break tackles, fall forward, be an efficiency type of back. And he led the state of Florida in rushing last year. He's from the Panhandle, Jason Patterson. Like they were like, you could tell the offense was totally centered around him. They were just putting him at quarterback and letting him run Wildcat, and he's running through tackles, breaking off big runs. It's Kentucky, Cincinnati, Boston College, and I think he's OVing at Vanderbilt this weekend. So that's one you feel like they should win for Jason Patterson. And you get him and Mizell in, that's good. I think that's a good running back room to feel about. And then you add that with Wilcox. I like those wins. Like I think they're all those guys can be legit players. I like that, what they're doing there. And you mentioned, go ahead.
One thing I did not like about Mizell, and this is an old man thing, does a lot of spinning. Wait. Too many spins. You spin, or you leave your feet. Boom, you get hit.
Yeah,
that's some high school stuff right there.
To me, though, he's not going to be a back. It's Kentucky's trying to burn clock and form an offense. This is not him.
No,
he is more of a explosive play generator. Like you're going to want him to bust a run, throw the ball to him out of the backfield.
Yeah,
things of those nature. Like he could be a good complement, I think, to Patterson because of that. Right. Because Patterson's more of the former. More the guy who could churn out 20 carries. It's
more of the retrain in my brain. When was the last time you saw a Kentucky running back spin? You think Eddie Graham is coaching spins back in the day? I don't think so. So that's more just me being an old man. That's dumb.
And I do like that you mentioned Amar Stewart to switch gears a little bit because I've noticed that too. That might have been a conversation like, we need you to pick up the recruiting. Because didn't he get a pay cut or it was close to the same wage for this new deal he signed?
Yeah, it was basically just the same deal.
And that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Typically. So, yeah, I think there was maybe a little, like, we need you to pick it up a little bit. And he was
They let go of Settle when that wasn't. I don't know anybody he recruited there. Boulware is already helping with three backs, but or conceivably helping with three backs. Amar has a little bit more rope too because he is a former Wildcat, and also his position group's doing pretty good. I mean, it's not a high production sort of deal, but that could be like the strength of the defense this fall.
No doubt. But I think he was in on the Antoine Smith recruitment. Jonathan Daniels, that's Pensacola, that's his area. So you're starting to see, I think, his name pop up a little more, which is a good sign. And Kendall Jackson, like, you have to use some common sense here. It's going to be, like, it's hard to envision that kid not going to Florida.
Yeah.
It just is, at the end of the day. It's just hard to envision that. So that, to me, like, that's going to... To me, Kentucky needed him to push his decision date back. Like, I think this recruitment needed to linger so Florida filled up. And so it gets to the point, if he's not ready to make a decision, then Kentucky can swoop in.
I love that he moved it up, but moving up to July 20th, that's a month from now. I mean, what could happen between now and then?
So, to me...
It's a little weird.
You're right. It could be they might be trying to get like more cash in the bag, more cash in the McDonald's bag.
Well, and even our friends at Gators Online are, I don't want to say sounding the alarm, but like, oh, this could be something. So it's not. We have to conventional wisdom is not always correct in recruiting now in the nil era. But to your point, common sense does ultimately prevail, unless he's just, I don't know this kid personally by any stretch of the means, but like unless he's just really wanting to get out of town, it's going to be hard to see.
Or Kentucky's offer is substantially bigger than Florida's.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But on the other hand, too, that's always a maybe 2 years from now. Like, Florida guy hops in the portal, Kentucky's his first option.
Yeah.
That's
and you
another
mentioned
thing about recruiting now. You're also recruiting for 3 years from now potentially as well.
Like speaking of that, Mizell's first cousin was a top 100 receiver recruit out of Orlando, and he's a freshman at Florida this year.
Yep, Aiden Mizell.
So if you get Tavani Mizell, you might be able to, if you want to play that game like projecting, which can be tricky to do.
Right.
But yeah, that could be, could be a good landing spot.
Yeah. Whew, lot of moving parts here.
But Jackson's he is we mentioned the D-line recruiting is a worry. Like that'd be a great win, like D-line. I think he's going to grow into be that traditional kind of 3-4 field end that Josh Pascal played. He's twitched up, can shoot gaps. He could he's got a havoc playmaking skill set. Like he's a guy I think you could potentially get pretty excited about. That would be a really nice win if Kentucky can pull it off, but I just have a hard time picturing that. Defensive line, it's like, what are they doing at defensive line? Jackson and Kirks are two prospects I like a lot, but I don't know if they're going to get Jackson, and the Kirks recruitment has been weird.
Yeah.
He cancels his UKLV. I was like, well, it seems like he's going to Wisconsin. Hasn't committed.
Right.
Released a top 5, top 6 on Monday.
UK was in it. Mm-hmm.
UK was in it, so can Kentucky. They're going to have to get him on an OV eventually, so got to hope this lingers into the a December announcement at this point. And can you get him on campus? So yeah, that's just kind of where they are right now. The defensive line is not like a huge need, but it's a position you want to address every year because they could return everybody off this defensive line next year. But it's a position you want to address every year. You don't want to go a year without addressing it. So if they could get one of those guys, I think that'd be a really nice pull.
Well, I think it's safe to say we had a really nice pull today here on the Josh Kattus Fan Club. Happy to have him on to start the show. If you're tuning in late, go back, check it out. And you meet him and a bunch of other Wildcats this week, Wednesday at Evans Orchard. It's a Summer Solstice Summerfest. So they're just one of, a bunch of things going on out there. I think they're having carnivals and stuff for the kids. That's from 4 to 9. They're going to have all their pit bulls out there with a bunch of cats. So you can go see them then. Or this Saturday, 3 to 6 p.m. at Country Boy Brewing, another adoption event. Along with, it's beers and brews. What can go wrong with that? You cannot beat it. And you can't beat 11 personnel. We appreciate you all joining us today for a little summer talk. As always, we should be back here right around this time next week. Only 3 weeks away from SEC Media Days. Am I right?
I know. It's getting here fast, man.
Fast approaching. Football will be here before you know it. For Adam Luckett, I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Crow Green.